Welcome to the Watchers Podcast. I'm your host, Royce the Drift Harwick. Today's show is loaded, guys. We got the southern border going on. We got the conflict in Gaza. We got this new Supreme Court ruling in Alabama that's going to affect IVF. And we might hit up that Biden impeachment. Hey, keep it locked. It's the Watchers Podcast.
I call it migrant crime. I really call it Biden migrant crime, but it's too long. So let's just call it migrant crime, and everyone's going to know it's because of Biden. We will call it from now on Biden migrant crime, okay? It's migrant crime. We'll call it, I got it, migrant. Let's call it migrant. Biden crime. Oh, that's good. That's smart. Migrant crime.
Sometimes I just have to sit back and wonder, like, is this really who Republicans want to be leading their party? I mean, look how the man talks. It's just plain embarrassing. But hey, on this southern border, so every election season, every election year, we get the Republicans screaming from the rooftops that there's an invasion and that migrants are coming to do egregious things. And some of it gets pretty disgusting. Here, check out this clip.
There's a migrant crime spree killing Americans, and the president's an accessory to murder.
We are being overwhelmed. There is no word to describe this except invasion.
Illegal invaders invading America, pouring over our border by the millions.
Criminals, rapists, murderers, child predators, and God knows who else. Well,
damn. You guys really feel strongly about what these migrants are doing when they get over this border. It's pretty crazy, man. It's almost like you want people to hate them, be afraid of them, and just hate everything about anybody that's trying to come to America to make a better life for themselves and their family. But, that's a classic playbook option for the Republican Party. It's called fear-mongering. So let me run it down for you guys. Fear-mongering only works when there's something or someone to be afraid of. So in this instance, it's brown people from the southern border. So it gets to the point where the rhetoric that the Republicans are spitting becomes a foghorn of a dog whistle, if you know what I mean. But, racism aside, like this play always seems to work for the Republicans, because as much as they bitch and whine about the southern border being open or whatever, they don't intend to fix the problem. See, the reason they don't want to fix the problem is because you cannot run a campaign on an issue solved. And keeping white conservatives afraid of brown people is an issue that they want to be unsolved for as long as they possibly can. It goes even deeper with the hypocrisy of the Republicans, because they're starting to wear it on their chest like it's an accessory. This bill that the Republicans have been working decades for, that has some very conservative policies, like ones that I don't even agree with. I mean, I do believe personally that we need border reform and things like that. And, this bill that was coming through would address some of those issues. I mean, it was a bit harsh for my taste. However, it seemed like a big step in the right direction to fix the border, the rapists, the murderers from coming through. But the Republican Party said, no, we don't want that problem fixed, so we're not going to support this bill. It was dead on arrival. And there's one big player in this playbook. His name is Donald Trump. He literally told the Republicans, any Republican that votes for this bill ought to be ashamed to call themselves a Republican. He urged those guys to stop the bill from passing so he can run on the problem during this campaign season. And as you can see, he's doing just that. Migrants. What the hell is a migrant? Man, this would be entertaining if it wasn't so irritating and just disgusting. And what makes this situation even worse, whenever I try to explain the fact that Donald Trump killed this bill to, some of the Republicans that I know, they always say, no, it wasn't Biden's fault. Or, I'm sorry, it wasn't Trump's fault. It wasn't Trump's fault. And I sit there and look them in their face and say, hey, man, the guy literally said, blame me for killing the bill. And if you don't believe me, I got the clip right here. The man saying it right out of his dirty ass mouth.
Open borders betrayal of America. It's not going to happen. I noticed that, and I'll fight it all the way. I noticed a lot of the senators are trying to say respectfully they're blaming it on me. I said, that's okay. Please blame it on me. Please. Because they were getting ready to pass a very bad bill. And I'll tell you what, a bad bill is, I'd rather have no bill than a bad bill. A bad bill you can't have, and that's what was happening. In the House, as you know, the Speaker, who's, by the way, I think he's going to prove to be a very good Speaker. It's tough when you have a very small majority. Very tough. Mike Johnson, Speaker, he just said it's dead on arrival in the House. It's dead on arrival.
So there you have it, folks. Dead on arrival. Don't even let the bill get voted on. Why? Because I need to run on the problem. I mean, how selfish is that? You want to be a leader of a country, but instead of doing what's good for the country, you do what's good for yourself? I mean, wow. We all knew Donald Trump was a selfish man, but just to stab his own country in the back to make himself look popular. And one of the other reasons he was holding this bill is because he doesn't want to give Democrats a win. Like, God forbid we get some type of answer for the border that you've been screaming for decades about if it's a Democratic administration to get it done. I mean, hell, who cares? You know, like, what's the big problem? Oh, well, man, it's partisan politics. It's like, we can't get away from it in a two-party system. All right, guys, that's like a little rundown of what's been going on the border, but stick with us. We got more stories coming up after this break. Keep it locked. It's the Watchers Podcast.
The U.S. now stepping up demands that Israel and Hamas finally agree a ceasefire deal in Gaza.
There must be an immediate ceasefire for at least the next 6 weeks, which is what is currently on the table.
Oh, bravo, Ms. Vice President, bravo. An immediate ceasefire. Pause. At least for 6 weeks. Wow. Welcome back to the Watchers Podcast. It's your boy, Royce the Drift Hardwick, and I am already tackling this Gaza situation. For those of you who aren't been following world news, there's been this giant atrocity that's been happening in the Middle East in a country called Gaza, and it's being perpetrated by none other than Israel. The IDF, the Israeli Defense Force, has been brutally and indiscriminately bombing Gaza, a country full of Palestinians, I guess like they're mortal enemies that they just have no regard for the lives of the people that live in that country. On October 7th, a terrorist group called Hamas brutally attacked Israel. They killed about 1,200 people and took hundreds of hostages. Now, since October 7th, Israel has inflated the death count. Like, Hamas killed 1,200. Israel is pushing 40,000. And an overwhelming majority of those people killed aren't even Hamas fighters, the people that attacked Israel. They're innocent women, children, and just regular people off the street. It's awful. There's been 14,000 dead children in Gaza since this started. I mean, the argument that Israel presents to the world is we have a right to defend ourselves. What part of 14,000 dead children is defense? I'm not sure you're understanding what the word means. And it's awful because what happened on October 7th, like by Hamas, that terrorist group that attacked Israel, is awful. But then to roll into a country and then start killing everybody, check this out. Israel cut off food, water, fuel, electricity, everything that a normal society these days need to survive was cut off. This is a medieval siege. Kyle Kalinske covers this brilliantly, and he never lets up. He's not going to get any money off his videos for it, but damn that. Like, let this be known. Israel has become a terrorist organization. Put it the way it is. They've even been standing in front of the world court to determine whether what they're doing or not is a genocide. And if you look at the facts of what's been going on in Gaza, they rolled up in there, and there's a mass displacement of people. They're killing all the kids. They're destroying hospitals, schools, nurseries, anything that can help raise a new population of Palestinians. They're destroying. It's like they're trying to erase their history. They've even been caught digging up grave sites. All in, we're trying to find Hamas. We're bombing this hospital because Hamas has a control center under the hospital. Cenk Uygur makes this point very well. If there's a guy taking students hostage in a school, would you bomb the entire school to get the guy holding the hostages? What sense does that make? When can that ever be a smart decision when you're dealing with innocent lives? The only way you can come out of this with a way of thinking that makes sense is that you never gave a damn about the lives of the hostages or the Palestinians to begin with. Because there's no way you're dropping 20,000-pound bombs on these people who have no way to defend themselves. It's disgusting. And this has been going on since October 7th. So the death tolls are astronomically high. And about 10% of them were the guys that you were going after. So who are you really out there trying to kill? Like, oh, it was by accident. There's not that many accidents in the world. Either you're extremely terrible at your job or you're intentionally doing the wrong thing. You can't have it both ways, Netanyahu, and you know this. And what really pisses me off about this entire situation, President Biden keeps sending them billions of dollars in weapons to do it. I just don't understand it. Like, either this man is truly evil or he just, I honestly think that Israel has something on the United States of America, because there's no way they're using all these tax dollars during an election year to fund a war that's extremely unpopular. And don't even get me started with all the mess you can get into for speaking out against Israel. You'd be labeled an anti-Semite or racist. And it makes no sense to me. Look, you can call me what you want to call me. I'm going to call out wrong every time I see it, whether it's a Democrat or a damn Republican. Joe Biden, you are a sick, twisted man. How can you fund something like this? Do you not care about those babies that were on incubators and the power got turned out and then the hospital eventually bombed? Oh, because Hamas had tunnels underneath the hospital. Look, this subject really, really pisses me off. And just in Michigan, Biden got a little bit of how Americans really felt about him in his situation with an uncommitted vote that turned out over 100,000 voters. So, I want to get the job done, Mr. Biden, you better take a step back and look at what you're doing and notice that your constituents are 100% against you. I'm not entirely sure of the numbers right now, but I'm telling you, man, you're losing your young voters, and you're damn sure losing your Arab voters, and you know how big of a voting bloc they are in Michigan. It's a battleground state, you dunce. So we're going to keep killing a bunch of babies in Gaza because of what? Netanyahu said so? Come on, man. Don't be such a dunce. All right, guys. That was a little bit about Gaza. I don't want to dig too deep in because, man, this is heartbreaking. If you guys want to know more about the tragedies, the genocide that's going down in Gaza, feel free to check out Kyle Kalinske on YouTube, man. He covers this every day. He puts up the numbers, the stats. He even covers all the BS that the powers to be have to say about the situation. You should really watch his coverage. And anybody else who's speaking about it, because not too many mainstream media outlets are really telling you the truth about this situation. They're playing this, oh, we can't say too much about Israel, because we don't want to be anti-Semite. But real reporters and real journalists will tell you the truth. All right, that's all I got for Gaza right now. But, hey, stay tuned. On the other side, we're going to talk about Senator Tommy Tuberville and how he got cornered by a reporter down in Alabama about this Supreme Court ruling. You're not going to want to miss this one, so stick around. It's the Watchers Podcast. And welcome back to the Watchers Podcast. It's Royce the Drift Hardwick here, your host. Thank you guys for joining me today, man. I know it's been a while, but hey, come back strong. So let's go ahead and talk about what's going down in Alabama. So the Supreme Court, they just decided to pass an opinion, a ruling that embryos are people. From the moment of conception, that zygote has rights. Just another tick on their anti-abortion policies that you can see. But this one here is having some adverse effects. A bunch of Republicans have been coming out saying how they're in support of this bill, but at the same time say they're in favor of in vitro fertilization. But according to this bill, it would make those frozen fetuses have rights. So now we're in a whole different era of governing with these bigoted Republicans. Like it's ridiculous. Like the misogyny. They hate women so much that they'll pass a law about their reproductive rights regardless of the health effects it will have on the women that it affects. So we got this clip here. Tommy Tuberville actually got pushed by some real journalists down in Alabama. Ran up on his ass to see what he had to say. Here, check this clip out. You don't want to miss this one.
Watch Alabama Senator Tommy Tuberville struggle to answer a question from NBC News this afternoon about what is happening in his own state.
Do you have a reaction to the Alabama Supreme Court ruling on the fact that embryos are children?
Yeah, I was all for it. We need to have more kids. We need to have an opportunity to do that. And I thought this was the right thing to do. But
IVF is used to have more children, and right now IVF services are paused at some of the clinics in Alabama. Aren't you concerned that this could impact people who are trying to have kids?
Well, that's for another conversation. People need to have. We need more kids. We need the people to have the opportunity to have kids.
Senator, what do you say to the women right now in Alabama who no longer have access to IVF, or who will not, as a result of this ruling? What do you say to them?
Well, that's a hard one. It really is. It's really hard. Because, again, you want people to have that opportunity. And that's what I was telling her. We need more kids.
Man, I love to watch Republicans squirm. It's like one of my favorite pastimes of late. Just watching them squirm, try to figure out a way to finesse their way out of this question. Nah, sir. And Tommy Tuberville been a piece of shit from the time he's been blocking military promotions because he wants to argue that the Army's been supplying abortions to people when that's not at all what was happening. But leave it up to a damn misogynist Republican to use abortion and act like it's their God-given right to invade women's bodies enough to where we're going to block military support. But that was a different issue on a different day. Just Tommy Tuberville being a piece of shit, period. Like, no answer for your decision. You just so damn gung-ho on anything that sounds like an abortion ban that you're sitting here smacking people in the teeth that really use in vitro fertilization to have babies. Now those frozen embryos and things like that have rights. I'm pretty sure they don't want to be experimented on or planted in people. See, now you're messing up everything that you say you stand for. You're in that same interview. You're saying people need to have more kids. We want people to have more kids, while sitting there supporting a bill that would hinder people using IVF. Like, you didn't read the bill. We know you didn't read the bill. You never read any goddamn bills. You just do what your Republican colleagues tell you to do because you have no backbone, no spine. Straight up. But people like that, they just have no compassion for the everyday American. Like, politics is just a power grab game for them, and they just don't really care as long as it gets them voters, the evangelicals, which I still don't see how the Republicans have had a foothold in for so long when their leader has been found guilty of damn near rape. It would have been rape if the statute of limitations in New York would have allowed for it. But this man constantly goes on TV back in the day talking about how he had to wanted to have sex with his daughter. Like, so this whole abortion thing, getting the Christians, I don't think it's going to be enough. Hopefully, the Christians come around and be like, yo, the people we're voting for are truly evil, and they don't have our best interest at heart. Oh, man, it's crazy how thirsty Republicans are to get on board with something that sounds like it strengthens abortion. Like, it ruins access to abortions. They just say, hey, whatever the consequences are for that, I'm with it because I hate abortion. These guys aren't doctors. These guys aren't trying to have more kids. These guys don't give a damn about the health of American people. Still waiting on a health care package from Republicans. I don't think we're ever going to get one of those. They just want to cut motherfuckers' health care. Woo-hoo, Republicans. Go figure. But yeah, like, I love to watch Republicans actually get pressed. That was some damn good journalism. When I found out who that journalist was, I'm definitely going to shout you out because we need more of you. Because he was sitting there, you wasn't letting them get away. Those follow-up questions were on point, especially when you pointed out his hypocrisy in that what he says he stands for, he just completely contradicted by going for some draconian-ass bill. These Republicans need to be stopped, man. I tell you. It's ugly, really, really ugly, and it just has to be stopped. These guys don't give a damn about Americans. But that's all I got for that IVF abortion fiasco down in Alabama. That state about as red as the devil's tank. But we're going to just keep it moving here on the Watchers Podcast. On the other side, we got this Joe Biden impeachment. And I'm going to explain to you guys why it's important to know BS when you see it, because it can be used as election interference. So keep it tuned. It's your boy Royce the Drift Hardwick. See you on the other side. Stick around. Welcome back to the Watchers Podcast. It's me, your boy, Royce the Drift Hardwick. So, on our last story of the day, we're going to talk about Joe Biden's impeachment and everything the Republicans are trying to do to get you to compare Trump and Biden and say, hey, they're not so different. Even though Trump's sitting there with 91 charges on his back, a rape charge that he lost, a New York charge that he lost. I mean, all the millions and millions of dollars this man finna have to put up to keep himself out of prison is ridiculous. But America, with all the craziness in our system, he can be president from behind bars if enough of his sycophants vote for him. So let's stay on track here. Joe Biden, man, the Republicans have been trying to get him forever. I mean, Marjorie Taylor Greene put impeachment articles on day one. Didn't even give a man a chance to mess up. But that's neither here nor there. This is all political theater just to make Biden look bad like Trump to interfere with voters' decision on who they want to elect. We don't want to elect criminals, so let's muddy the waters a little bit. And it's funny because the Republicans had years to investigate Joe Biden. I'm not even entirely sure what the charge is. I think it goes along the lines of Hunter Biden, his son, got a job at Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company, and they're saying that that Hunter Biden was throwing, the Biden name around to get some favors, and because of that, Joe Biden wound up making millions of dollars off of a Ukrainian energy company. Oh man, it's a mess. Like, if you lie, you got to keep lying and keep the lie going. And now you got all these different lies. So it's not really adding up to much. And there's no evidence. They sit there and go on Fox News and scream and holler, oh, the Biden crime family, that's my James Comer. The Biden crime family, has done all this. Burisma, then we had Victor Shokin and all, and then the kicker, this should be over with. One of their main witnesses that testified is under indictment for lying during those testimonies. So now they're, I guess you would call it a smoking gun. It's the closest thing they got smoking. And the dude lied. And there was another instance where they got information from a Chinese spy. Like, I'm starting to wonder if these Republicans don't know they're being spied on to interfere with an election. Oh, man, it's just comical. And behind all this, we're sitting here talking about it wasn't even Joe Biden. It was Hunter Biden. And they're saying he used his father's name, as, throw some weight around. When we got Jared Kushner, who got billions of dollars from the Saudi Arabians shortly after they butchered Jamal Khashoggi. I wonder how he got that job. You think it had anything to do with him being the president's son-in-law? Or are we just not going to even touch that? Because that was some real money move that almost everybody know about. So if you really want to, but the Republicans, they're going to do what Daddy Trump tells them to do, and they're going to kiss the ring and lick the boot. Everything you got to do to be in Trump's good graces, because if you're not, he's going to stomp you like the little squeamy bugs that the Republican Party has become. There's no way around it. And honestly, if the Republicans were serious about impeaching Joe Biden, they probably should go the lines of, hey, this son of a bitch is funding a genocide in Gaza and sending billions of taxpayers' dollars, went around Congress a couple times to do it. That sounds like something you should impeach somebody for, but you sick bastards agree with the genocide. So now you can't go that route, can you? Fucking Republicans, man. You gotta love them. Anyway, guys, that's all I got for you today. And man, it's been a great time. I missed you guys. I haven't come to you, and I know I've been out the loop, but I'm about to get back on this because this election year is not letting me chill. There's always something happening, and I definitely got to say something about it. I mean, I got the biggest mouth in the city, I say. But anyway, thank you guys for joining. Thank you for tuning in, and thank you for listening. This is the Watchers Podcast. We watch the left wing, the right wing, the tail end. We watch every piece of that bird, all right? We're going to keep it fair and honest. Thank you guys for listening so much. I love you. Tune in next week. We're going to keep them coming for y'all. We out.